how gambling metastasized from Vegas into every corner of modern life, from Roblox kids to NBA rigging to Drake's 100M casino deal. The hook, when gambling comes knocking with $1 million, Coffeezilla reveals something he's never shared before. After turning down a $20,000 sponsorship from a casino, he was later offered $1 million to cover his legal fees in an ongoing case. The offer came from a top executive at a sports betting company who wanted to remain anonymous and claimed there were no strings attached. But Coffeezilla recognized the trap. You can't take $1 million from a sports betting company and then make videos criticizing sports betting. He turned it down, but the experience crystallized something for him. The casual way these companies throw around life-changing sums is precisely why gambling is winning. The three forces behind gambling's takeover. Coffeezilla identifies three converging forces that have made gambling inescapable in modern life. Understanding all three is essential to grasping why this problem is accelerating, not slowing down. Force 1. Silicon Valley made everything into a casino. The single biggest trend isn't the rise of casinos, it's that the mainstream has become more like gambling. Silicon Valley discovered a decade ago that gambling mechanics are phenomenal for user retention, so they embedded them everywhere. Online shopping, spin-a-wheel prize mechanics at checkout. Video games, loot boxes with randomized rewards, functioning as slot machines with extra steps. Kids games, Roblox, the largest game platform for minors, is stuffed with randomized loot boxes. Third-party gambling sites, platforms that enable actual gambling based on kids' games, with real children participating. Coffeezilla spoke with an insider who worked on Roblox Wild, a third-party gambling site, before it was shut down. The insider shared data claiming the site made $5,000 per day, roughly $2 million per year. The site was shut down, but similar platforms persist because, as Coffeezilla puts it, copying casinos makes a ton of money, and that's why we've been putting it into everything. He shows footage of an actual child gambling on Roblox, narrating wins and losses in real time, a moment he calls absolutely disgusting. Force 2. Sports gambling goes legal. In 2018, the Supreme Court overturned a federal ban on sports betting. At the time, you could essentially only sports bet in Nevada. Within a few years, the map flipped entirely. Most states now allow it. The advertising budgets that followed are staggering. DraftKings, FanDuel, Underdog, and Prize Picks spend hundreds of millions of dollars annually on celebrity and influencer endorsements. The result? DraftKings is the one sports app on the App Store, not ESPN, not the NFL app. Half of the top 10 sports apps are betting platforms. The apps use inducements, essentially free money offers, to hook new users. New customers bet 5, get 300 in bonus bets if you win. New customers get risk-free bets up to 2,000. Coffeezilla draws a devastating comparison. Imagine the cigarette industry told you, buy your first pack, get 50 free packs to get you started. Imagine Budweiser said, shotgun one, they'll send you a case for fun. It's insane. Force 3. The money is too big to stop. This is Coffeezilla's central thesis, and the reason he believes no amount of data or advocacy will fix the problem. The casino industry generates billions in profits, creating an ecosystem where states benefit from tax revenue, corporations benefit from profits, and influencers benefit from enormous payouts. The people who write the rules like them just the way they are. The prediction market, explosion prediction markets like Polymarket and Kalshi have exploded, allowing people to bet on elections, world events, and absurdities. Coffeezilla was asked to investigate whether Zelensky was wearing a suit, because prediction markets had 200 million in betting volume riding on the answer. These companies exploit loopholes that exempt them from casino regulations, meaning you can bet at age 18 instead of 21. They operate in states where normal gambling is illegal. Both Kalshi and Polymarket have brought on the president's son as an advisor, making meaningful regulation unlikely. Meanwhile, every major betting app is launching prediction market copycats to exploit the same weak rules. The Sweepstakes casino Loophole, a startup called Cheddar, is building what it calls the TikTok of sports wagering, combining DraftKings, TikTok, and Tinder mechanics into one app. Their pitch proudly touts being legal in 20 more states than DraftKings and accessible for 18 to 21-year-olds. It's sports wagering with the pace of a slot machine. Coffeezilla's reaction: isn't that the most dystopian thing you've ever heard? Cheddar operates through the Sweepstakes casino Loophole. Here's how it works. You technically don't need to purchase anything to play, so it's not gambling. You get free coins, but there's a second currency you receive as a bonus when buying the worthless coins, and that second currency can be redeemed for real money. Stake US uses the identical structure with gold coins and stake cash. As one Redditor explained, One stake cash is $1. They only use gold coins because they need to say that you aren't gambling with real money to stay open in the US. Cheddar is backed by A16Z, the prestigious Silicon Valley investment firm. Finance becomes gambling, gambling becomes finance, the convergence is now explicit. August 19, 2025. Robinhood announced sports betting and prediction markets in their app. Their VP called it a no-brainer to make Robinhood a one-stop shop for all your investing and trading needs. The very next day, FanDuel announced stock market betting for their customers. Shortly after, the New York Stock Exchange's owner invested $2 billion into Polymarket. The most popular subreddit is Personal Finance, 21 million followers. Second place, Wall Street Bets, where gambling on stocks is celebrated. Margin debt sits at an all-time high of $1 trillion. Zero-day options trading by retail investors has grown 5x in volume over 5 years, the stock market equivalent of red or black at the casino. And then there are memecoins, even more degenerate than meme stocks. PumpFun, the one-click memecoin launchpad, has generated over $800 million in revenue for itself. According to one analysis, only 0.4% of all traders will ever make over $10,000. Most people lose by definition because memecoins are negative-sum, trading fees siphon value continuously. Trump made millions in fees from Trump memecoin without ever selling a single token. He simply farmed the trading fees, money siphoned from regular people who mostly lost. The NBA rigging scandal. The FBI exposed a massive sports rigging scheme involving current and former NBA players and coaches. One example. On March 23, 2023, NBA player Terry Rozier allegedly told a friend ahead of time he'd leave a game early on a foot injury. That night, $200,000 in bets were placed on his underperformance. Rozier limped around briefly, left the game, and the bets paid off. Days later, he and his friend allegedly counted the cash at his house. The NBA had previously investigated Rozier for that exact game and cleared him, citing insufficient evidence. As Coffeezilla notes, the leagues are clearly not equipped to handle it, but people just look the other way because the money's too good. The ESPN coverage was unintentionally perfect. While reporters discussed the scandal on air, an ad for ESPN Bet ran in the corner ticker. Producers eventually noticed and removed it mid-segment. The human cost. The numbers are grim. 22% of all Americans and nearly half of young men have an online sports betting account. Bankruptcy rates rise approximately 10% after a state legalizes sports betting. Betting households spend an average of $720 a year on sports betting. For every dollar deposited for betting, there's a nearly $1 reduction in net investments. Roughly 1% of the global population suffers from problem gambling. Approximately half of gambling addicts will commit a crime, usually to fund more gambling. Problem gambling has one of the highest suicide rates of any substance addiction. The celebrity hypocrisy machine Nadeshot Matthew took a deal with Roblox, an offshore crypto casino, announcing it by saying "Don't gamble, you will lose," while calling it the biggest partnership of his career. On a podcast, he admitted gambling harms people he knows personally. But when asked hypothetically about 100 million, "I ain't turning down 100 million, bro. I'll go on there and I will crypto gamble 24/7. At that point, man, it's the parents' fault. I would sell my soul for 100 mil. Are you kidding me, dude? Them kids, dude, F them kids." Drake signed a reported 100 million deal with Stake. He posted an 8 million loss saying got to share the other side of gambling, but as Coffeezilla notes, Drake, that is the only side of gambling for most people. Kevin Hart pushes DraftKings while simultaneously partnering with Chase Bank on a financial literacy campaign and lecturing on Joe Rogan about how the biggest problem within our community is knowledge about money. Joe Rogan ran 11 DraftKings ads across 14 videos in September alone, while regularly ranting against Big Pharma's manipulative advertising. Coffeezilla juxtaposes Rogan's anti-pharma rant with his DraftKings reads nearly word for word to show the identical manipulation tactics. Rogan himself once said on his own show, "There's no difference in the drug addict and the gambling addict. Not at all. No difference." And yet the ads keep running. The uncomfortable conclusion. Coffeezilla's thesis is bleak but clear. Gambling will become a much larger problem, especially for young men. The data won't stop it. The stories of ruined lives won't stop it. Nothing will stop it because there is simply too much money benefiting the people who make the decisions. All it would take is basic advertising rules or legislative change to put a stop to half of this stuff. But money makes the world move. And the people who write the rules like them just the way they are. The video ends where it began, with a simple observation that gambling used to mean losing your money on slots in Vegas. Today, it means losing your money everywhere, all the time, on everything, pushed by everyone you admire, enabled by every app on your phone, and protected by every lawmaker who benefits from keeping things exactly the way they are. DraftKings, despite having a formal partnership with Chase Bank on a financial literacy campaign and regularly speaking about the importance of financial education on podcasts like Joe Rogan's. Maybe the information isn't there on the stock market part, which isn't gambling, because you're too busy telling them about actual gambling. Joe Rogan ran 11 DraftKings ads in 14 videos in September alone, despite being the same person who rails against Big Pharma's manipulative advertising. Coffeezilla plays Rogan's own words about pharma manipulation side by side with his gambling ads, noting that changing a few words would make the rant apply perfectly to gambling. The Coffeezilla $1 million test, perhaps the most revealing moment, is Coffeezilla's personal disclosure. A year earlier, he was offered $20,000 by a casino, which he declined. Later, he was offered $1 million to cover legal fees in an ongoing case. The offer came from someone at a sports betting company who wanted to remain anonymous, no strings attached. Coffeezilla turned it down, reasoning, "There's no such thing as $1 million, no strings attached." But the experience gave him what he calls an aha moment. "I started to understand exactly how screwed we are. If the gambling industry can casually throw around life-changing money, no amount of data, sad stories, or investigative journalism will stop them. The money is simply too powerful." The verdict, an unstoppable force. Coffeezilla's conclusion is bleak but clear-eyed. The gambling epidemic isn't coming, it's already here, embedded in every layer of modern life. The regulatory solutions are simple in theory, basic advertising rules, legislative changes, but impossible in practice because the people who write the rules benefit from keeping them as they are. If people would sell their soul for 100 million, imagine what they do for billions. The video ends not with a call to action, but with an acknowledgement of futility, which, for Coffeezilla, is itself the most damning indictment. The data is clear, the harm is documented, the hypocrisy is exposed. And none of it matters because gambling has already won.